Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙤 Iyer. This is DGI episode 339 and I'm joined by my co-host 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙀𝘀. Sridharji, Namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel, sir.
Namaskar. Good morning to everybody on this wonderful Friday morning.
And we start by talking about oil exploration rights provided by India to, I believe, Exxon in various river basins, as well as off the coast of India in some places. To know all about this, let's have Sridharji share his thoughts. Also, Australia is looking at the same thing. Sridharji, suddenly now there is new thirst for oil, sir.
Yes, I think there's a new thirst for energy security. And suddenly people realize, okay, we need to look beyond the alternate energy. And, climate accord includes having fossil fuels and natural gas. It's an important part. And by the way, Japan is expanding its nuclear footprint, all showing signs. It's first and foremost, ExxonMobil coming into India to expand the deep basin exploration is very positive news. It's a reflection that the priorities are shifting with United States, going the opposite way. I am sure that with ONGC actively involved, that the eastern side of India, the exploitation, or southern side of India exploitation, as well as the western region, augurs well for India. And Australia is saying the same, that it is going to have more exploration in the offshore shelf, contrary to what we are doing in the United States.
And ExxonMobil is known to be one of the most efficient operators, whatever be the stage, efficient extraction, refining, delivery, and all that stuff. So I think that's a good sign, a win-win for both countries. Let's take a look at what is happening in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Sridharji. Looks like they are expecting some positive comments at the end of today when the thing wraps up, the summit wraps up.
I think that today is the most important day. It's a very pivotal point with the Fed chairman, Dr. Jerome Powell, is expected to make a statement. It is expected to be the continuation of the same policy that he has announced, which is why the markets is giving a positive sentiment, which is to say increase in steps of either 50 basis points or 75 basis points. The market is factoring in continued interest hikes till the first quarter of 2023. And lo and behold, the interest rates could be hitting 3.5 to 3.75%. This is the prime lending rate. And there is a consequential effect to that when you add prime plus on the commercial as well as the retail borrowing side. Indonesia has already increased the rate to 3.75%. So, these are all indications. By the way, Indonesia is a G20 nation, which is why I brought that point to bear.
And judge orders Friday release of redacted version of Trump affidavit. Is this in connection with the January 6th event, Sridharji?
No, this is connection with Mar-a-Lago.
I see. Raid.
Okay. Trump has insisted that the documents be released, unsealed, the search warrant. The DOJ and the FBI DOJ specifically made a plea that it needs to protect some of the, if you have to use the word, whistleblowers. So there's a redacted version that is being released. Media also filed a plea, which is to say you can't keep it in the interest of public. You have to reveal the warrant. The most controversial event that has taken place in the recent past in US.
And Rasmussen poll finds that most of the people polled think that both DOJ and FBI are highly politicized. You make the call. And I would like viewers to look at some of the Steve Bannon videos because he talks about why Comey was fired. Sridharji, that was a revelation for me. So when do you think this is going to change? Is this getting worse?
I think if, under the, we have to be candid about the facts. Under the Democratic administration, there is a historical legacy. Unless the events go well past the inflection point, you're not going to get anything out. The politicization will continue. We have seen this in the case of the Clinton files, both Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, these much revelations that happened at that point of time, particularly in 2016 with Hillary. And then prior to that, of course, the 2000, the big saga of Bill Clinton. They continued to deny until it reached point of no return. And then you saw the Russiagate investigations. Then you've seen Biden, Hunter Biden. Now it is coming to the fore that somehow the DOJ decided not to discuss any of these things until the elections were over. So all this data is coming out, which is why people feel that this is very heavily used or weaponized, politically weaponized tool, which is DOJ and FBI, particularly under the Democratic administration.
And there is no clear estimate as to how much the $10,000 student debt write-off is going to cost the country. Sridharji, these numbers seem to be varying from $300 to $450 billion over a period of 10 years. I'm just gobsmacked that such a small amount of money, because most people who run up the debts run it up to like 100,000 or more, sir. Is this a drop in the bucket? Do you think this is going to move the needle for the elections?
It is definitely going to move the needle for the election, because it is the progressive left's agenda, which is namely some symbolic cut be established. Close to 30 to 40% of the student loan universe in some way is going to be impacted. Don't be fooled by what we have stated. Tomorrow or next show, we will show a one-page chart which is computed by Center for Responsible Budget, which shows how this $440 billion is made up of. The $10,000 waiver, and there is also a $20,000 which is based on the income.
Grants, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So we will show those numbers. And White House says it cannot determine what the cost, but yet they have decided to waive.
And US may deny it, but there appears to be a mild recession with a contraction of about 0.9%. We'll wait and see until that number firms up. Now, Israel opposes Iranian nuclear deal, and there may not be other options. Saudi defers the Iran talks until right conditions emerge in Iraq. See, you have two different countries, both are inimical towards Iran, and each has a different reason for not allowing the nuclear talks to go through. Clearly, Saudi Arabia has a vested interest in Iran not coming online with their oil, isn't it, Sridharji?
Well, I think that there are two aspects. One is oil. The second is the historical Shia-Sunni issue that is prevalent around who has the rights and who has the ownership for the religious sites. So this is much more than pure oil play. Let's see what happens, because Europeans are trying to push this. I think Biden administration, there is a group within Biden who is also trying to get this done, but there is tremendous reluctance, and it is not very popular amongst many factions within both Democrats and Republicans and members around the world, that this is not going to in any way mitigate the nuclear ambitions of Iran, nor its renegade groups operating from various spots around Israel.
And Zelensky says Ukraine avoids narrowly a nuclear catastrophe as plant loses power. Putin signs a decree to increase Russian forces from 1.9 million to 2.05 million. Sridharji, we talked about this, that there could be a big problem with the Russians taking over one of the biggest nuclear power plants in Ukraine. Now is Ukraine, at least parts of it, plunged into darkness, sir?
Well, I think it's clearly that they have, even otherwise, they have curfews because of the continuous bombings and raids that are going on. Their supply lines have been disrupted because of the natural consequences of the war. But this is a more fear of the radiation, where people are going to be significantly impacted as a result. Now, Zelensky is saying, to some extent, you have to play the political theater, which is namely that either side is playing. One is shelling, and the second is abruptly taking it off the power grid, could cause potential radiation. What Zelensky is saying is somehow they seem to have averted the disaster. Now, the fact that the second point that you mentioned, that Russia is expanding both the army in the Ukraine sector as well as the overall is a reflection of tremendous loss of life that they have suffered, casualties they have suffered in the recent war. So they are trying to augment, apparently with all kinds of people, including prisoners and recruits from various other parts of the world, to make sure they can show up and be ready to fight.
And lastly, Taiwan says that it is determined to defend itself after the visits from the United States politicians. We're going to have viewers, we're going to have a recorded conversation with a politician who made this visit to Taiwan, and we'll keep you posted on when we are going to release that. So this will be a first in terms of like when somebody from PGurus is interviewing a very significant member of the United States Congress. So that's a topic that's coming down the pipeline. Be ready for it. 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪, the fact that the United States politicians across the party lines are standing firmly behind Taiwan seems to have bolstered its reserve. I mean, it's a resolve, I should say.
No, it is. I think that, again, we were probably one of the first people to call that the invasion may not happen. And China is using it as a bargaining point. I think China will not repeat the mistakes that Russia has committed with the Ukraine, because the economic consequences China cannot afford for a population of its size, plus its tentacles far deeper around the world. And the economic consequences are quite disastrous, notwithstanding the political symbolism of China as a leader around the world. So I think that the latest is the governor of Indiana who was there and expressing his support. All this also means that the strategic importance of Taiwan, especially on the semiconductor and the electronic vehicle or the EV batteries, and their contribution is very much positively recognized by the world over, most notably the United States.
And with that, we bring to close today's edition of Daily Global Insights. Have a great weekend. Tomorrow, we're going to have a special on the running up of US debt, looking into the details of the student debt forgiveness and a few other things full of charts and information. Do tune in for that. Thank you, 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙪. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.